Welcome to Grecana city, home to one of the most formidable coastal fortresses ever built. Standing proudly on a rocky islet off the Grecana coast, the Grecana fortress is a masterpiece of Renaissance military engineering. It was constructed by the Toscas family, the powerful rulers who led the city for more than 150 years. While the ancient Grecani settlers once overlooked this natural stronghold, the Toscas recognized its true strategic value, guarding the narrow Triton River bottleneck and controlling the lucrative trade routes from New Warwick. From here, they imposed tariffs and maintained dominance over maritime commerce for generations. But history had other plans. During the Great War, the Supreme Secretary of War commissioned the construction of the New Warwick Canal, a faster, safer passage that bypassed the inner river entirely. As ships changed course, Grecana's importance faded, and the mighty fortress was eventually abandoned. Today, after a major restoration, the Grecana fortress has been reborn, no longer as a bastion of war, but a symbol of heritage. It now stands as a breathtaking historical landmark and serves as the headquarters of the Grecana Coast Guard, watching over the same waters it once controlled centuries ago. Welcome to the story of Grecana Fortress. Alright, let's get started on building the fortress. First things first, I'm laying down the main road and shaping the outline of the fortress out on the sea. This little islet will act as a foundation and blueprint for where the walls and the inner courtyard will go. The overall design, I will let you know, it's heavily inspired by the Castel dell'Ovo, or the Egg Castle, that has been built by the Normans in Naples, Italy. So many parts of this city are actually heavily inspired from Naples. I really like the whole concept of the very wide coastline, packed with buildings that are very similar to the Mediterranean Heritage Pack. Inside the fortress walls, we'll eventually have the restaurants and the fish taverns for visitors to enjoy, creating the vibrant and lively atmosphere that you can actually experience in most of the Mediterranean cities, with some culture and monuments around the coastline. Hit subscribe if you want more historical builds. At this stage, I've also completed the Seaside road that connects the modern promenade and the central market area, which I'll make sure I'll show you in the future episodes. So the modern promenade and the central market area, are they going to be like one video together, showcasing how I built those? Just below the road level, I've created a cozy corner that's perfect for shops and restaurants, ideal for people walking from the market toward the fortress. After building around with the piers a bit, I think it's time to decide on the fortress entrance. So I chose to place it on the side facing the main road that links directly to the city, if that makes sense. So the very first thing you see driving from the city towards the fortress is like the gate. So that's why I decided to build it there. And for the entrance, I'm using the part of cemetery, the mausoleum, which looks like the treasury of Athens in the Delphi. Well, that kind of style anyway. And here's why. Historically, it was very common for builders to reuse materials from all the structures. So you can still see that today. Many public buildings and monuments include pieces of ancient architecture. Back in the day, those cities, just like Grecana, for example, had seen better times. They were quite prosperous. And then they have been invaded or looted like multiple times. So the whole economy of the city significantly decreased and affected. So they often couldn't afford to bring fresh marble or new materials in order to build new buildings. So they repurposed what was already there. And I believe that's a very nice historical touch that fits perfectly here. Next step is to build the fortress walls. For this one, I'm using the cubes and slabs mod from crypto gamer Skylines. I can't really recommend these assets enough. They're super versatile and very easy to work with. I also added a small tower at the entrance. To be honest, it's not a tower by itself. It represents the remains of an old gate or an old gatehouse that once led into the castle yard. So for the front of the fortress, I used buildings from the German pack to form the upper sections of the walls. I also decided to move the tram line into the main road and expand the modern promenade to make room for more buildings. If you look at the real Naples coastline, it's absolutely packed. With all those buildings, it's really packed. And I wanted actually to capture the same density of the buildings around the coastline. So at this stage, I decided to add a couple of towers on the front side of the fortress. It will really give the structure more epic feel and create some more great shadows when you look at the castle from different angles. I played around with using different cube sizes to make the two sides slightly asymmetrical, as it adds I think, more personality and keeps things from looking too uniform. I also extended the outer wall a bit to spice up the layout. I can totally imagine how cool it would be to drive underneath that part of the wall. What do you think? Now that the walls are in place, I adjusted the slope so they lean slightly, just like the ones at the real Castel dell'Ovo in Naples that I showed you before. Next, I attached another classic Mediterranean style building to the wall. This one might represent the old barracks or warehouses, which today would serve as the Castle Museum. What do you think? So now I'm using those slabs, which are now going to act as supports for the outer walls. They add a more realistic structural feel and at the same time cast some beautiful shadows depending on the angle of the light. Okay, this one might be a little bit questionable in terms of aesthetics. I wanted to add some roofs and small extensions on top of the front towers. So I decided to use a few small Eastern European houses. What do you think about the slopey walls around the fortress? Another slab added here, and this will be part of the main entrance and the staircase that leads toward the west wing of the fortress. So it's going to be like a large plaza area which is facing towards the restaurants and the buildings. And it's going to be like that kind of triangle heading towards the main tower, and then you can enter inside the west wing. Those assets are going actually to create a roof of the central courtyard of the fortress, and the greenhouse is going to work as a glass roof just to make things more interesting. And then I started extending the wall along the seaside. So we'll eventually have a beautiful wall built right over the breakwater, and it's going to look amazing. A thin layer of walls will be added here, so they will act as battlements from the inside while keeping the outer side straight for when we decide to add the angle walls a little bit later in the video. So now we can clearly see the area will need to expand on the islet to make space for all the buildings. It's definitely a slow and detailed process, but since this fortress is only inspired by the real castle and not a direct copy, I might still change things as we go, depending on what my brain decides to do in the moment. All those piers, they will be revisited in the detailing video, especially since a new expansion came out right after this build was recorded. So what you see here, all those piers are going to be replaced. I've now added some pedestrian roads around the buildings, and the area I'm shaping here will become the castle's garden. It should be like a peaceful spot where visitors can relax and find some shade during the summer heat. Since we don't have awnings in the game, I went with parasols instead. It's very common in Mediterranean towns for shops and restaurants to have awnings and umbrellas outside, either to protect their goods from the sun or to create some extra sitting space. I will recolor the parasols and adjust their angles to make them look more natural, and of course, I added some wooden tables and chairs, which are very Mediterranean vibe here. We're down to the last few touches of the coastal fortress build. I used a small UK stonewall assets to create the castle battlements. It's definitely a huge time investment. Adding all those tiny little details for such a compact project takes patience and a lot of repetition, but trust me, the result is worth it. In the next video, you'll see how all those separate pieces blend perfectly into the final structure. I placed also a few small sheds that will act as gates and entrances to the towers. They look a little odd right now, but everything will make sense once we get into the detailing phase. Then a bit of extra detailing. I like to mix different surface types instead of covering everything with one single texture. It just feels more realistic, especially in plazas and smaller courtyards like this. In the main city areas, you can get away with using one material, like red brick pavement, let's say, over large sections. It just feels more realistic, especially in plazas and smaller courtyards like this. In the main city areas, you can get away with using one material, like red brick pavement over large sections, but here I really wanted to go the extra mile to add the handcrafted look. and now we're in the final minutes of the video. If you've made it this far, thank you for sticking around. Here I'm finishing up the seawall and connecting it with wooden piers. Finally, I will decorate the angled walls with some rocks just to add a bit more natural detail and tie everything together. Which tower design do you prefer? Let me know below. So here it is, guys, the fortress finally coming together. It started as a few cubes on the water and now it actually feels alive. It's been a slow build, but honestly, that's part of the fun sometimes, watching it evolve piece by piece. I love how the whole area feels connected to the city now, with the promenade and the seawalls all blending together nicely. Like, comment and subscribe if you want to see more historical builds. Thanks for watching and hanging out with me. Don't forget, the best part is still ahead in the next episode. Trashbot 89, signing out.